Welcome back, guys. Everything Apple Pro here, returning for another iPhone 14 leaks cram session. Got a lot of ground to cover. As always, improving our render game. Very grateful to have the capability to do so. And taking a break from Phone Rebel engineering. Hope you guys enjoy the change of scenery here to bring you guys this video. So we've been working on Gen 4 cases, Flex Series version 3, which is bringing back some great features, and I love it. I love the design part. I'm very grateful that Everything Apple Pro could lead to this company, and hopefully we design some cool stuff going forward. Anyways, let's get to that video. So the iPhone 14 lineup has leaked in its entirety, the entire CAD lineup, which we've printed, and it doesn't appear that much has changed at first glance. As Franz puts it from Tesla, the chief design engineer, there's really not much to look forward to, although I kind of disagree with that. On closer glance, I mean, for the people that care about the details, there is a bit, a little bit. The dual hole punch is now absolutely confirmed, so it's happening on the Pro models. The right little circle, individual circle, is going to be a camera. Left side, Face ID components. Apple had to cram a lot here. The speaker, the earpiece is now even sleeker, up higher. So Apple's slowly making their way to the top for a bezel-less, completely screen design, which is supposedly happening in 2024, according to Ming-Chi Kuo. That one is, of course, going to be the huge design leap that we've been waiting for. Otherwise, another surprising change that I actually didn't notice at first, but then I can't not see it, and that's the improved or increased corner radiuses alongside the thinner bezels, which are getting 21% thinner. So you'll have more screen, but less bezel and more of a pleasant rounded shape, which is going in the direction of the Series 7 Apple Watch. I think it flows better with the dual hole punch look. By the way, I love it. Very Apple-like to do a bold design such as the notch. This thing definitely takes it a step forward. You don't gain much screen estate with it, but it's unique. It's something different. I am happy to say that Prosser's iPhone 14 leak with the 4S inspired design isn't happening. I did think it was a little ridiculous that Apple would be bringing back the dinky little 4 and 4S buttons, cramming the camera into the very corner, making it as flat as possible. Just no way. That one's not happening. In fact, the phone is getting thicker by 0.2 millimeters and the camera is expanding. So the camera is getting both wider and taller and thicker, because Apple is doing 48 megapixels. Believe it or not, you do need more room to expand the camera module if you want to have higher resolution, better capability. Recent leak from Weibo shows the actual display panels of the 14 lineup, and on the 14 Max side, we're going to be seeing pretty much the same display as the 13 Pro models. I wouldn't even be surprised if they just took that from the 13 Pro models. But apparently we're not going to be seeing 120 Hertz on the lower end models. Other sources say that we will, so that remains to be seen, but dual hole punch is exclusive to the 14 Pro models. And molds used to produce cases give us a better perspective of just how big that lens is getting. 1.92 millimeters taller and 1.72 millimeters wider, so less of a square shape. Apple's now going back to the rectangular look on the lenses, and the individual camera lenses now protrude higher from the rear glass by 0.77 millimeters. So the camera is getting bigger in every single way to accommodate for 48 megapixels, 8K recording. By the way, those are exclusive to the 14 Pro lineup. And the actual wide-angle sensor, the primary camera lens, will be expanding by 21%. Overall, 57% larger versus the 13 Pro and Pro Max models. So Apple's making a considerable upgrade to the camera. There's also been a sketchy rumor they'll be upgrading the True Tone flash. In the CADs, it's just a tad bit larger, so wouldn't be surprised. Ming-Chi Kuo sums it up like this, saying that the iPhone 14, the Pro models, will elevate mobile phone camera photography to a new level. 8K, 48 megapixels, nothing crazy or new, but if Apple does it, they're going to do it well. Now, Apple hasn't made a large upgrade in megapixels in years, and to go from 12 to 48 is a huge increase. And to do that, Apple's using pixel binning. So individual pixel sizes are getting smaller by 0.68 microns, but there will be more of them, and Apple will combine them to make 1 pixel. It's arguably a worse solution for nighttime photography, so we'll see how Apple compensates for the traditionally lower low-light performance using pixel binning. And Apple will be changing the aspect ratio to 20:9 from 19 to 5:9, partly due to the more rounded corners. Now, Ross Young claims that the dual hole punch is likely expanding to the 15 and 15 Max in 2023. Apple may even shrink it on next year's iPhones to a single hole punch for the camera, but that is unconfirmed. By the way, the Mini completely dead as reported earlier. The 14 and 14 Max will now be the standard, which is better because the bigger models do sell. Apple is not doing so well on the Minis. And a sketchy rumor claims we'll be seeing a purple 14 Pro model at launch, which Apple usually does like to do a new flagship color. And we've been hearing rumors about purple. Max Weinbach last year said bronze. Either one of those would be a cool option. That report goes on to say we'll be seeing a purple 14 as well, and removal of certain colors, so it'll just be black, white, red, purple, and blue. And Ming-Chi Kuo goes on to say that the entire 14 lineup will feature upgraded selfie cameras, including a 1.9 aperture from 2.2, so better low light performance, and autofocus for the first time ever on a selfie camera on an iPhone. That one is obviously something to look forward to, as it's just never been there. Now, if you weren't planning on getting the Pro models, here is what you'll be missing out on. According to Gurman and Ming-Chi Kuo, the 48 megapixel camera will not be happening on the lower end 14 models. Those will obviously miss out on the hole punch. Those will not have the Apple A16 chip, the A16 Bionic. This is the first time ever on a flagship that Apple is not putting in the latest iPhone on the lower end models, not counting the SE models and whatnot. Only the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max will exclusively carry the A16. A15 is to be expected on the 14 and 14 Max models. Apple's got to save some somewhere. And according to Kuo, the entire 14 lineup will feature 6 gigabytes of RAM. The lower end 14 and 14 Max will feature slower LPDDR5X RAM, whereas the 14 Pros will have LPDDR6. So a bigger chasm in performance between the lower end and high end models. Also, we've heard about the 2 terabyte upgrade Apple will be offering on the Pro models. Still supposedly will happen. And previously reported for the 13s, Gurman is now saying that Apple may have their satellite communication feature ready for the iPhone 14s. This would enable emergency communication, emergency texts, definitely not so much as straight up communication via satellites. And according to Mark Gurman, the 14 Max will cost $200 less than the current iPhone 13 Pro Max, which I calculated to $900 versus $1,100. Apple is very likely going to be increasing their prices across the board. The first hints of this came from TSMC, who started raising their chip prices. They're usually slow to do so, but the chip shortage eventually caught up with them. It's not likely to abate anytime soon, so yeah, Apple will be upgrading the prices on the 14 lineup, very likely. And Taiwanese Economic Daily News reports that battery life will be getting better thanks to an upgraded Qualcomm processor using a new 6nm process. It's their first official 10 gigahertz modem. It's more efficient, takes up less space in the iPhone. I mean, likely the last one before Apple switches to in-house modems. Qualcomm did just announce their new Q70 modem, which is an even further improvement in efficiency and bandwidth speeds. Although Apple is looking into and of course actively testing their own in-house modems, which are expected to happen either in 2023 or 2024. Now, the A16 Bionic to be used on the 14 Pros this year is expected to use a 4nm process, which will be a first for Apple, and then 3nm in 2023, which is expected to be debuted on an iPad first. It just blows my mind. The first iPhone was 90nm, and within 14 years, we're at 3. And in 2024, TSMC is promising they'll start 2nm production with full scale happening in 2025. That's wild. And Kuo reports Apple will finally begin using gallium nitride on their new 30-watt charger for the iPhone 14s. It'll be a smaller version, more capable of the current charger. And the Elec reports that periscope zoom still on track for 2023. Apple has found a supplier. We will soon be able to zoom in and take pictures of the moon like Samsung owners instead of watching in envy. The Elec also claims that the 15 Pro in 2023 will be the first to feature an under-the-screen Face ID system with just a single camera for the selfie camera in the center. It seems strange to me that Apple would make such rapid innovations in display. They usually hold on to something for a while, like the notch. And Ming-Chi Kuo, who's previously reported that Touch ID would be happening beneath the screen this year, next year, now he's reporting that will not be happening until 2024 at the earliest. Apparently it's not as easy as it seems to add both Face ID and Touch ID. And Quo also reports that 2024 would be the first year we'd see an iPhone with an all-screen display. Moving on to AirPods Pro 2. According to Quo, we'll be seeing them in the second half of this year. From what we've heard earlier from Gurman, they were a very ambitious design without a stem, just too ambitious. It took a lot for Apple to make the design possible. There will be a huge upgrade in terms of chip capability, the speed, bandwidth, very likely, battery life, and supposedly health sensors built in. All right, guys, that's the latest. Thank you for supporting Phone Rebel. We try to produce the best iPhone cases. If you guys want to grab one, link down below at Phone Rebel. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.